You know what's interesting? This kind of sparked my mind with just talking to Adam yesterday about the NFC North. Do you guys in the Vikings is expected to trade up for JJ McCarthy? Yeah, Caleb Williams, Jordan Love, and assumingly it's probably going to be JJ in the division. Like you better hope that Jordan Love, you better hope that he doesn't take off and become really, really, really good. And then you better hope that Caleb doesn't take off and become really, really, really good. And then JJ, your guy Booner, again, hopefully he doesn't take off and become really, really, really good. Because this NFC North, and now I'm not saying this year, like I think, but in the years to come, in the next, let's say 5. Lions, and you mentioned that Brad Holmes said this, Boone, that, they got the gas out, all the pedal to the metal in terms of just continuing to build this roster. But when you use that term window, what do you guys, what does that mean to you? Because I think this NFC, this is a not for long league, man. Like the NFL teams can turn the teams around quickly. And I think we got to start getting it out of our head that, the NFC North is just bad and it's going to be bad. I think the NFC North over the next couple of years is going to be incredibly competitive. And the Lions are going to have to be aggressive to stay in that mix. And I think you have the right GM and the right coach to do that personally. But what do you guys think about the whole window talk with kind of the outlook of the NFC North?
I'm with you on to the fact, like the NFC North, it's not getting worse. It's only getting better. And as you go through that window, it can, I'm almost in the fact where if they get JJ, the Vikings, and he ends up working out there, which I think he will, and Caleb Williams is what people think he will be, this might be the toughest division in all of football in a year or two. So when you're looking at it like that, it's, I don't know if it's that, hey, the window's closing or it's closed, but it's a harder window to kind of fit through, if you know what I'm, if you kind of feel where I'm going with that. It's every single year you're going to have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. You're going to have a chance to win the division. You're going to have a chance to go to the playoffs and win playoff games. That's not going to be the case. The factor, it's going to be, are you going to win it? Because there's going to be really good quarterbacks in this division. This division's only going to get better and better. There are a lot of really good players in this division on both sides of the ball. The Vikings have a ton of weapons. That defense isn't as bad as I think people think they are. And the Bears, like I said the other day, I saw the Ryan Poles interview and I almost started to switch sides to where I'm like, I think Ryan Poles is kind of putting something together over there. And Jeff, I know we're going to do a segment on that soon, but there's this thing with the Chicago Bears to where they're starting to put things together on both sides of the ball. So it's going to be a battle. Do I think the Lions are going to, the window's closed? No. Like they're still in the next 2, 3, 4 years, they're going to continue to have chances to go on and win divisions and win playoff games and win Super Bowls. Does that mean they're going to win back to back to back to back? No, because the division just keeps getting better. But it's all gas, fellas. Like Brad Holmes says, you have to keep getting better because these other teams are going to keep doing it and keep doing it. And they're going to keep, like, these guys are coming out to win the divisions. I heard the Bills GM come out the other day and mention a lot of people think that the Bills keep getting slack and Josh Allen keeps getting like hate because they're not winning a Super Bowl. They have the teams to do it. It's just so hard in this league to do it, especially when you're like in the AFC right now. And like now it's going to be the NFC North coming up. It is so hard in the NFL to win football games and to be good. And that's where I think the window goes. And I know the Booner path, I joke around, I want 3 Super Bowls in the next 6 years, 7 years, whatever it is. Realistic? Maybe not. But will they compete for Super Bowls the next 6 years? They probably can. Does that, like that window though, it's a tough window because teams are just going to keep getting better and better and better. And there's rotations, man. And right now the Chicago Bears and Packers and Vikings, they're on the kind of the turnaround of that rotation.
Yeah, I think it all just depends on the quarterback play just because of all the things you guys just said with the quarterbacks in the division. And I think that's why at least Jeff and I know, Booner, you're definitely not opposed to it by any means, but that's why I think the Hendon Hooker pick was so crucial for the Lions because Jared Goff is playing at a very high level right now, but he's going to be the oldest quarterback in this division in a couple of years, and it's not going to be close. So when his play starts slacking, obviously that window starts getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Now, if Brad Holmes hits on Hendon Hooker, like a lot of us believe, that window opens right back up. So that's why I think people are so excited with this Hendon Hooker pick. So it completely depends on one, the offensive line, which I think the Lions are going to continue to keep a strong unit and always have a top 5-ish unit through the course of their tenure. But then it just falls directly back on the quarterback play because the weapons are always going to be there. The defense, in my opinion, is going to be better than it has been because honestly, how can it get worse, especially when you look at the first couple of years of this rebuild? So it depends on the quarterback play, in my opinion.
Do you know what, too? Kind of thinking about it as well, is a lot of people, like, obviously it was easy to win the division this year. It felt like obviously down the stretch there was a little bit of a, all right, boys, we got to get this thing going, but you won the division pretty easily. It's harder next year. It's going to be harder. And then the year after that, it's going to get even harder because if Caleb Williams works out, he's going to be even better year 2, and JJ year 2, and Jordan Love year 2. Like next year, it's going to be hard to win the division. It's going to be tough. It's not going to be a cakewalk like it was last year. And what I think that comes down to the next couple of years is I think it as well. It's coaching. Like who's going to be able to elevate their team to kind of the highest there every single year. Like use that talent, and as well as GM. And that's where I do think like Brad Holmes is one of the best GMs in the league, not the NFC North, but the league. So that's where I think that's where you have the advantage going into these off seasons and going into year after year with these windows is you have Brad Holmes. And I think Dan Campbell's on an upward route of becoming one of the best in the league as well. He does have to fix some things, but if you have the coach as well to do it, you can go win a lot of football games, and you can find that way. So that's where I think it, like Lukas said, quarterback, and I think GM. That's back to you and Adam's point, Jeff.
Yeah, yep. And you guys are both just spot on with that. I would give, and it's funny because the Lions last year, you would say, well, maybe the year prior, you'd say that head coach and quarterback easily was the Lions. You give the Lions that nod. This year, it's a little closer. I think Dan's still a better coach than Matt LaFleur, but it's not like this tremendous gap. And then I think that's the same thing with Jared Goff and Jordan Love. Like I would take as based off what we've seen, bigger sample size with Goff, so you got to give them the edge. But it's not like, again, the Packers are going to be competitive this year, but it's more of the next 3 to 5 years. As long as the Lions, you have the best head coach in the league and he continues to fill out his staff the way he has. We'll see with post Ben Johnson. Still believe in Dan as an offensive mind. I think he does a good job at hiring coaches. So I have belief in that. And as long as Jared Goff plays at a high level, which, a lot of Lions fans expect, we'll see. And I believe he can. So as long as you have that, they will be, I don't want this to be like, oh, watch out for the rest of the NFC North. Like, no, they have to watch out for the Lions. Like the Lions are the team that is now going to be hunted. They just made an NFC championship game. Like they deserve to be favorites for a reason. So I don't want that to get twisted either. Although we are talking about the rest of the NFC North, it doesn't take away to what the Lions are. You get another edge. A true edge, a bookend. This team is scary. Like I think in another corner, and they're right there, man. Like the Lions are going to be in this thing because of what you just said, Booner, head coach, GM, and how Jared Goff's playing right now.
What I think too is, if you guys look back, I talked about this earlier in the season when I was talking about kind of the future, obviously the whole Booner Pat thing. The Packers went on this run. I think it might have been like 8 of the last 12. I think it was before the Lions won this one. I think it might have been like 8 of the last 12 divisions or something like that. And they didn't win every year. And that's the thing that I think was going to happen with the Lions, where I think they can dominate the next handful of seasons. There's just going to be times to where like the Bears or the Vikings, like they're just going to have these one-off years in the Packers to where they're going to step in. I think there's a chance you could see this Lions team with Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell start to dominate the division in the next 6-7 years through that extension through 2027. But there are going to be these years to where, hey, this division, guys, it's like, I think a lot of people are downplaying what this division is it's going to be a really tough division. And the Packers, they won 8 out of 12 years, but there was years the Vikings had good year. There was these years, these one-offs, and I think that's where you do have to kind of stay a little grounded a little bit and be like, hey, yeah, we might be dominating now, but this isn't going to last forever, fellas. We have to keep rebuilding and rebuilding and rebuilding and build and build.